Bring it back that yawn.
It says it's sending data. So we'll see.
It's thinking about it. It's thinking about it.
We are streaming. We are streaming. We are streaming everywhere. All over the world.
Yeah, here we are.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, everybody. It's 8:26. You have 2 minutes to grab a friend, grab a drink, but don't grab your friend's drink unless you're bringing it to them.
Cheers.
Which I did for you tonight.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Take a minute if this is
It's working.
If this is something that's meaningful to you, take a share. Share it, and we'd love to spread the influence of Talking Toast. Share the gospel according. Share the gospel according to Talking Toast.
I'm gonna go share it. Come on over, down to the corner, sisters and my brothers, here for one another. Would you feel that sunshine?
Is that the song you used?
I think I was wearing the same shirt. No, I was just wearing Comfort
Same
Colors. Last week. Sorry, I was going through and I was like, oh, I'm wearing the exact same shirt.
I had to think about, I couldn't wear my green shirt again. So I just put my sweatshirt on because I haven't worn my tiger sweatshirt
Look
yet.
at that beautiful.
Isn't it gorgeous?
That is awesome.
I would get this as a tattoo.
It's cool.
It's a cool tiger.
I like it.
You should get it.
I would not get this as a tattoo.
You should get this tiger as a tattoo.
Where?
On your bald head.
Oh, my bald head. More on that in a minute.
No, you can get it on your back right here. It'd be cute.
I don't know. Hey, everybody. This is Talking Toast.
Welcome to Talking Toast.
It is 8:27, and at 8:28, we officially start, so you still got another minute. Talking Toast is a time when we pull back the curtain on the creative process that is sermon writing for us, but it's also talking about life and talking about what's going on in the world and then how
is going on. Isn't that a song?
I think you're thinking, what's going on? What's
No.
going on?
No.
I don't know what you're singing, but anyway, the title tonight is a John Mayer song.
What is the title?
So the title tonight goes, well, I can't find it. Let's see. I don't know.
All right, what is the title?
I can't read.
Fighting with the shadows in your head, living out the same old moment, knowing you'd be better off instead. If you could only say what you need to say.
There you go.
Say what you need to say.
So we're going to talk about a little bit about saying what we need to say tonight, asking what we need to ask, those kinds of things. How's that? Is that a little connection?
I like it.
Good.
I like it. So we've got Chantel is on tonight. Cheers to you, Chantel. Portia's on.
Hey, Portia.
Hey,
That's
Portia.
Awesome. That's a good song.
Man, it just made my heart so happy to see your name pop up there. That's awesome. So good stuff.
Like, I'll be honest a little bit. This makes me nervous because Portia is like
Portia's a big deal. Portia's the real
big
deal.
Man.
We're just like amateurs
That's
over
exactly
here. Somebody,
right.
If you're watching, go check out Portionality Media.
Mm-hmm.
Portia Williams Gates is just like, she's awesome.
For real.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's past 8:28.
It's
so
time.
Every week, no matter what's going on, we start the same way with Talking Toast, and we ask the question, what is sustaining you? And that can mean a few different things. That can mean what is going on in your life right now that is getting you through. What is that undercurrent that's pulling you along? What is that 808 beat in hip hop that's moving the song? What is Barbara Brown Taylor would say?
What is saving your life now?
What is saving your life
If
right
you're kind of into like the Hindu philosophy, what's that Om underneath, like the life tone?
Yeah.
Underneath it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the things.
Absolutely.
What is it? What are all those things for you?
Yeah. So if you have your keyboard available or your thumbs, let us know. Let us know what's
if you have your thumbs.
if you have
If you have thumbs.
Or if you are doing your voice AI talk back, we're moving along in the world.
Yeah, we are.
So yeah, Katie, what's sustaining you right now?
Well, I had a really fun weekend.
Yeah.
I had a weekend that I got to share with Rachel Pennington, of the Pie Chest fame. She came up here to deliver pies to the Wallens, who were celebrating their marriage. So McKenna and Michelle got married over the weekend. We had, Sophie was my wedding date to 2 different weddings, one Friday night, one Saturday. And so it was awesome. And more than anything, just so good to see friends this weekend.
That's awesome.
And I got extroverted out, but that's another story for another day.
That is not sustaining you. The introvert time afterward is.
I sat at lunch on Sunday afternoon after church, and I was like, I don't think I can say another word.
It's okay. Sophie and I had you.
I sat
quietly. We covered for you.
While John explained to Sophie why I was being quiet.
Yes.
It was great.
That was good. I'm going to go close this and hope that maybe... Let's see what happens.
Portia said, sustaining me is family and Jamal, who is also watching with me.
Hello, Jamal.
It's so good to see you.
That's
see
awesome.
you. I see your name, Jamal. It's good. It's good.
It's good stuff.
Also, check out Jamal. He's a stand-up comedian.
Really?
Check him out on Instagram. He's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Portia and Jamal.
Good peeps. So while you were at the weddings, so you went to 2 weddings over the weekend. I was at Bethany Beach with our region. Our Disciples of Christ region did a regional assembly, and we did it at the conference center that is there, that's owned by our region. And I got to play some music with some fun folks on Thursday night, and that was a lot of fun. And then I got to steal away a few different times and go take 1-minute videos of the ocean. I probably did spend a total of 7 minutes on the beach, but it was awesome, and that was really, really life-giving for me. So yeah, sometimes there's something about being at the expanse, where you can't see any other thing. All you see is the abyss. For some, is that I don't know. I like to think of it as the expanse rather than the abyss. But yeah, there's something about being there and being your little part in that.
Yeah, and it's almost like the world is breathing with the ocean and the tide, the way that it comes in and out. Yes. And there's a rootedness that can happen as you're watching the breathing come in and out.
Yeah.
Julia said, Daisy is sustaining me and preventing me from being incarcerated. I love Daisy. She's the best. There's this episode in Bluey, and I think we showed it in church, that one of the days that we were doing the Bluey sermon series, where they're talking about Pomeranians are a small but hardy breed. And I think about that every time I see her.
That's great.
I see her perking up. I'm like, Daisy's
awesome.
A small but hardy little monkey.
That's awesome.
I love it.
So, if you would like to chime in more with what is sustaining you, what is getting you through, we'll continue to check these comments throughout the week. But this Sunday, here we go. Yes.
Sorry, I can't stop yawning.
You went to a Lutheran college. I don't really think I paid any attention to this. I knew that the Reformation happened, but I didn't, of course. But I didn't know. About Reformation Day.
Yeah.
So, tell us.
Oh man, at Roanoke, in my Lutheran past. Lutheran, I would bring my casserole. No, I'm just kidding.
Your hot dish.
But Reformation is like a whole energy in the Lutheran Church, and so for those of you who know that I have Lutheran roots. You know that Lutheran. You know that I love Reformation Sunday. So Sunday is Reformation Sunday. And we're celebrating it actually a little bit early, which is, fine, whatever. Because typically it's celebrated on the Sunday closest to Halloween, basically. All Hallows Eve. And so
was the night Luther...
It was the night that Luther put the 95 Theses on the door of the Wittenberg Church.
Wittenberg.
So,
Sorry.
So whether these things happen as they say they happened, we don't know. Whatever. But
it makes a great story, though.
It does make a good story. And do I like everything that Luther did and said? No, absolutely not. But here's what I love about Reformation Sunday.
Do you like everything your husband says?
No.
Of course not.
No. Here's what I love about Reformation Sunday. It is a yearly reminder that we cannot stay stagnant. That humanity... I'm not even talking about church now. It is celebrating it in some way, which we are celebrating it in church liturgically. But celebrating Reformation Sunday or the Reformation in some way helps me as a human being to remember that I am to continually be growing and changing, and that is good. Reformation reminds us that change is the norm, and that can be a good and beautiful gift. So I love celebrating Reformation Sunday. I think it's a great thing to remind the church, this institution that's been around for generations. It's important because we can become entrenched in our ways, right? And so we remind ourselves and each other that we exist for the sake of following our callings and understandings of who we are in the world, and that's going to change, and that's okay. So
think about the moving train metaphor a lot of times with this, that the train is moving. And I've heard that used in such a negative way so often. Like, you better hop on because the train is moving. Yeah, the train is moving. But what happens when the train is moving? You're looking out the window. You've got new scenery. You've got things that are like, it's changing. But,
all the time.
Yeah,
unless you're stuck on an Amtrak for 3 hours and you have to get a new engine, which is what we had to do last time we rode the Amtrak together.
Right. So I was thinking about another John Mayer song that, honestly, will someone stop this train? I was thinking like, no, we don't want to stop this train.
No, we don't want to stop the train.
Of that, right? That
we want to keep going.
Keep moving
we want to keep
what's
seeing
outside.
the world.
Lee Taylor said, I grew up in a Lutheran church.
Lutheran.
That's awesome.
Lutefisk and Lefse. I also, as a double whammy, I grew up with a Midwestern father and a Lutheran father. So, like, my Midwestern Lutheran father, like, talked about lutefisk.
Lutefisk.
And still does.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So, Reformation Sunday, and we're sticking with the text that is for our lectionary.
Yeah.
Which is Mark 10:46 through 52. And the heading in the NRSV says, Christ heals blind Bartimaeus. And there was this part of me that, like, just immediately, like, like, we've come so far in so many different things, but we haven't done well with people first language.
No.
Still. So, yeah.
What's funny about that is the story is he's healed.
Right.
So is he blind Bartimaeus still? Even though he's healed?
There you go.
So we're gonna tackle this story from two different perspectives. And I'm interested in seeing feedback on this and whether this resonates with you all. So there's this really interesting part of the story that Jesus and his entourage, I imagine them like walking through a very public kind of like marketplace area, right? And they're walking through, and you know, at this point, Jesus has started to acquire crowds. Not that there's like throngs of people on top of him, but I'm sure there are people who have heard. There might be throngs, who knows? But there are people who have heard this is the guy that's been healing people. There were multiple healers going around at that time. Mm-hmm. And so people, you know, would gather and seek to be healed. And so this young man, Bartimaeus, yells out and is yelling for Jesus to heal him. And I love this. This is, I see myself in this. I see a lot of the work of the church in this response. And I also see an opportunity in this response. The response of the crowd was to silence him. And so Bartimaeus is yelling out for help, and the response of the crowd is to silence him. And basically what they're claiming is like, Jesus doesn't have time for you. And so I'm really challenged by this, especially in light of Reformation Sunday. Because if the church, if Christians want to continually be remaking themselves and continually be changing and responding to the needs of the world, we've got to listen. And I think we've done a lot of the silencing, of the telling Bartimaeus to be quiet. I mean, I think about, there was this meeting once upon a time. I think about when we were early in our ministries and fighting for LGBTQ inclusion. Mm-hmm. And there was this meeting we were in where a couple of queer folks stood up and said, I don't feel heard in this church. Mm-hmm. And it was just one of those moments where I realized, like, there has been this mass silencing. Mm-hmm. And what was very interesting about that moment is then the power went out. and the microphones went out, which was, I think, emblematic of the moment we were in. But I just think about all the silencing, all the people groups that have been silenced and said, like, your needs, no, we've got other things to do right now. We've got to right the ship on the institutional side. We've got to get members back. We've got to do this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, there are people right around us who are saying, like, no, hey, look, this is who we need to be. Mm-hmm. And so I love this part of the text because it feels like it almost renews our calling to who we're supposed to be in the world.
Mm-hmm. And isn't that what we all do? You know, I feel like if we were in that moment and we were walking along and we want to hear what Jesus is saying, we're trying to follow, we're trying to figure it out. I think about, there's a great David Wilcox song. I just forgot the name of it all of a sudden. I love them beyond belief. Beyond belief is the name of the song. And when David Wilcox is speaking about this, he says, you know, it's amazing how often we put up these walls around what we think Christianity needs to be and what we think needs to be the response, the silencing, right? We put up this wall and then we recognize, wait a minute, Jesus is on the other side of the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think about that, like with the silencing. So Jesus is on the other side of this.
Yeah, I heard Mexico's going to pay for those walls too.
Well, anyway, so Jesus is on the other side of this. Yeah. And you ready for me to?
No, I mean, yeah, I think that's great. And I think yeah, so maybe the disciples and the crowd kind of put up a protective fence around Jesus.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, no, we're going to protect him at all costs. We're going to protect this institution that he's creating. Now, although there wasn't an institution at that
Right.
point, but you get what I'm saying. And at this, like, and then all of a sudden they realize, like, not only had they created this thing that was never intended, but they had trapped Jesus, and so then he couldn't do his thing.
Yeah, or he was already beyond
Or he was,
it on the other
which
side
is
of
probably
it. Yeah.
true. He was probably already having a conversation with Bartimaeus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a silencing. Another part of this text, which is really, I think, life-giving for Jesus, and I'm glad that this happens in Mark. Like, this is Mark is our first gospel. We think that Lily's chiming in. We
She's
think
a
that
good Lutheran.
yeah, we think that Matthew and Luke had the Gospel of Mark. It wouldn't have been called the Gospel at that time, but they had this writing, this understanding of Jesus from Mark as they're writing. In Mark's Gospel, Jesus says, "Would you like to be healed?" The exact quote, and what do you want me to do for you? And I think there are so many times, you use this on Sunday, but Elizabeth Gilbert has this great quote. So we were listening to a podcast with her, and the podcast started off, and the person asked her, Elizabeth, if we were going to hit a home run in this podcast, this interview, what would it look like? What would it look like for you, for this thing to just be the best? And Elizabeth Gilbert responds, I have no cherished outcomes. I have no cherished outcomes. And I think about this, that so often we come to these moments with the outcome already in mind.
Yeah.
And even Jesus in some of these healing texts does this exact thing that we're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
But in this one, he's, what do you want me to do for you? The question is asked. And I think that is so countercultural. And shouldn't be.
Yeah. And I think about the people who are, like, today on the margins for whatever reason. And we come in as white saviors and say, like, you need this, you need that. And don't recognize that, like, maybe we should ask them first.
Yeah.
So I think this is also a good kind of roadmap for how the church postures itself and how humans can posture ourselves when we encounter need.
What if the Reformation that the church needs today is listening? What if we need the opportunity to ask the question as opposed to starting with the answer? Because that's been the history of the church.
Yeah,
is starting
it has.
with the answer.
It has.
Yeah.
And how would that change things?
Yeah.
I think that sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
might
that's...
even preach about that on Sunday. I don't know.
But I think that's our challenge, is to figure out who we are, like, as we step into a tradition that is thousands of years old. We can't practice it the way they did, even at the Reformation.
Right.
In the 15th century. We can't practice it like that. Mm-hmm. Because life is different. The printing press has been created. Social media then came of that. You know, like...
Protestantism came out of this.
We can't
That wasn't even
practice.
a desired outcome
No, it
for
wasn't.
Luther.
he had no cherished outcomes. Maybe he had a few.
I think he had some cherished outcomes. He wanted to reform the church.
Yeah.
And that's not what happened.
No.
The church split over this.
Yeah. So, but I do think it's really interesting. Like, we've got to figure out, and I think this goes for anyone who is seeking to live in a tradition, whether it be like your family's tradition or a philosophical tradition, whatever it may be, but how do you live in a tradition that is ages old in a time that it wasn't created for? And how do you allow it to reinvent itself and reinvent you in the process?
How do you live within an institution with something that wasn't meant to be an institution? I mean, like, all of these questions come to mind.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a lot of questions.
We do have a lot of questions.
That's good, because
I think
I'm going to
that's
preach about
where
that
we're
on
supposed
Sunday.
to be.
Yeah.
I think questions are better than answers.
Yeah, and a good question. What happens with a good question?
Does it always require more questions?
A good question always
I
leads to
was
better...
trying to answer that in another question.
I had a cherished outcome in that moment. All right. Well, friends, this has been fun. Thank you all for joining us. We have Chantel and Julia.
How did you
Lee.
say her name?
Chantel. I don't know why I said it that way. Chantel. Anyway, I apologize for saying your name that way, Chantel.
He went back to his ball and springs uprising.
All of a sudden, I was talking like this.
Uprising.
I don't think we need a... But anyway.
I did write about January 6th today.
Lord.
That's probably what's going on.
We've done some talking. Now we need to toast. And friends, if you have any toast that you would like to share, we're all ears. Katie, will you start us tonight?
Yeah. Cheers to you, friends. And may you go from this place having eyes and ears for the people who are crying out for help in your midst.
Yeah. And may you find life in the Reformation, that we are reforming all the time, but that just means that the train's moving and it gives us new scenery. So cheers to you and your new scenery.
Cheers. You know what that made me think about? Our cells, even down to a cellular level.
Yeah.
We are entirely new beings after about 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our cells literally reform.
Our
bodies reform every 7 years.
Completely different in 7 years.
So we've known each other for 13 years.
Yeah.
We're almost on our second reformation.
I know. Our bodies have changed twice. Or are they continually changing?
My body has changed more than twice.
Oh, Lordy. Well, friends, that was fun. Thank you for participating with us tonight.
Go and be reformers, you crazy kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Courtesy of my mother, well-behaved women rarely make history.
That's true.
I come from a long line of not well-behaved women. And I have a feeling it's going to continue.
What gives you that impression?
I don't know. Just a weird